Hi, I'm Kevin Montgomery. I'm a licensed attorney in Nashville, Tennessee. I practice in the areas of wills, probate, conservatorships, estate planning, trust, real estate, and construction law. But by far, real estate and construction are my favorite areas of practice, and I do a large, significant portion of my practice is dedicated to those areas. And even farther than that, my absolute favorite practice is that of closing real estate transactions and helping buyers and sellers buy and sell their home, close on their loans if it's a refinance. And I love working with realtors and lenders and home buyers and sellers. It gives me more fulfillment than anything else that I do. Of course, the home is probably the most significant asset that you'll ever own, and it's very fulfilling to help you through that process and close on your transaction. I could talk all night. Attorneys can always talk, but I'm going to be pretty brief tonight, and specifically we're going to talk about what is title insurance. Title insurance protects the mortgage company and buyer against financial loss from defects in title or ownership to real property. So primarily, title insurance is an insurance policy similar to a homeowner's policy that protects you not against the house burning down or something of that nature, but it protects you against maybe a former owner not properly signing a deed, or maybe a mortgage, a second mortgage that somebody had 2 owners ago that never was paid or released. It provides peace of mind to you. Why do I need title insurance? Title insurance is required by all mortgage lenders. That's the first reason that you need title insurance, because you can't get a loan without getting title insurance. The title insurance policy promises to protect the lender from unforeseen issues such as a forged signature, disputed ownership, or unpaid taxes prior to the issuance of the policy. It's customary in our area that title insurance is typically paid by the seller of a property, but that is a matter of contract, so you'll need to deal with your real estate agent and the writing of your contract as it relates to the cost of title insurance. But your mortgage company is going to require that you have title insurance, and for basically no cost, or very nominal cost, $35, $45, the policy also will protect you if you have an owner's policy that's issued. So there's actually 2 policies that are issued, one that protects the lender and one that protects you. And as the owner of property, then that policy is issued in your name. There were some examples up here of problems that title insurance might take care of, such as a forged signature that might protect a lender, a disputed ownership. That is a fairly common problem. Making sure that the taxes on the house you're buying are paid, not only this year, but last year, the year before, making sure that the house, if there's been some distress with the seller, that maybe it's not getting ready to be sold at a tax sale down at the courthouse by the Chancery Court, for example. Lots of things like that. The role of the title company and the closing attorney. Let me just interject here. Title companies are not necessarily going to provide you with a closing attorney. In our state, you do not have to be an attorney to close a transaction. My company, Premier Escrow, of which I'm a co-owner, is attorney-owned, and we have only attorneys that close transactions, unless it is a very, very unusual situation. So it's kind of a misnomer to assume that you're going to always have a closing attorney, but you should. Premier Escrow collects documentation from the mortgage lender, the agent, the prior owner, and the buyer for the closing. Basically, the title company is a clearinghouse where we interface with basically every aspect of the transaction, from the mortgage lender, the real estate agent, sometimes a home inspector, the pest control company to make sure there's a termite letter, inspectors for moisture issues, things like that. And we gather all the documentation, make sure it's in order, make sure documents are properly prepared, and then our job to help the lender and to represent them is to make sure that their loan package is properly signed. Of course, we want to make sure for you that the loan package you're signing is explained clearly, so you are understanding and agreeing that your interest rate is what you thought it was going to be, that your payment is what you thought it was going to be, that if there is an adjustable rate feature to your mortgage, that's clearly explained to you, etc. So I take my role very seriously in that regard to make sure you understand when you leave our office what you have signed and what is the significance of that. That being said, it's generally a very fun process, light. It's an enjoyable time because it's the consummation of a wonderful situation typically. Closing your home. We'll prepare the deed, we'll finalize the deed and make sure it's accurate. We'll help the lender with the preparation of some of their loan documents. We'll verify with you as the buyer the terms and conditions of your loan to make sure, as I alluded to a minute ago, that the rate is correct, that the term, 15 years, 30 years, whatever, is what you expected it to be. We'll collect your down payment if you have a down payment. We will collect the money from the lender for the loan amount, and all that goes into our escrow account, and then we're responsible for making sure all the prior liens and all the existing liens are extinguished and paid. So when you buy the property, you have peace of mind that as long as I can make my payment, as long as I can pay my utilities and cable or satellite, whatever, as long as I can do that, then I don't have to worry about home ownership. I don't have to be looking over my shoulder. Was it handled properly? Is there something else that I need to be worried or concerned about? The main document, or one of the main documents in the closing process, is the closing statement, or the HUD-1. Even if your loan doesn't have anything to do with HUD, that's the name of the form, the HUD-1 form, and that is the accounting of all the money that's coming in, all the money that's going out, and it shows you at the very bottom how much money you're bringing to closing if you're buying, or hopefully walking away from the closing if you're selling. Logistics to closing your home. One of the things you'll want to do ahead of time, and your agent will help you think through this and remind you of things like that you'd think, well, I don't need to be reminded of that. But in the process of buying a home, I've had people at my closing table and they forgot all about contacting the utility companies to get their electricity turned on, and the seller is cutting it off at 5 o'clock that day. So things like getting the utilities set up and scheduled. Most of the time, moving arrangements, I don't have to remind you about that. Many times the moving van is outside my office or in front of the house waiting for the word that the deal closed so you can start moving your furniture in the house. Insurance, you were educated on that earlier. We make sure before you close a transaction that you have an insurance policy issued in your name and the lender's name, if applicable, and that you're covered. Even if you pay cash for a home, you always want to make sure, because nobody's going to require you to get insurance if you paid cash. You want to have an insurance policy. You don't want to own property for 1 hour that you don't have an insurance policy in place. Of course, you'll do a final walkthrough. You'll inspect the property with the home inspector earlier in the process. The day of closing or the day before, you'll do a walkthrough to make sure everything looks good, looks like you expected it, and the property's being delivered in the condition that the contract said it would be delivered into. And then, usually the last part of the process is meeting with me or one of the attorneys in my office, reviewing the accounting, the settlement statement, going over the loan documents, making sure the deed has got your name on it, spelled correctly, things like that nature. And that process is generally a very happy time, lasts anywhere from 30 to 45 minutes. So generally a real good time that we spend together. So you got to qualify for your home. You got to find the house with the mouse with your real estate agent. You got to inspect your home, make sure you have insurance, and then finally I'll close the home for you.